to the Steelers defense is very different. Second in takeaways, top 5 in sacks. So do you think they can just keep this rolling and kind of continue on this upward trajectory?
I mean, I think that's the hope, obviously, and it would match the talent base on that roster. They're getting healthy again after being banged up pretty bad to start the season. Joey Porter Jr. will make his return. He's one of their top corners. Deshaun Elliott, the safety, proved to be a really big piece when he came back 2 weeks ago now after the bye week. I think Derek Harmon, the first-round pick out of Oregon, a big part of stopping the run, because that was the issue, Jacqueline, if you remember a couple weeks ago. They were making plays. They were taking the ball away. That's why they have those takeaway numbers. But they couldn't stop the run, and then that was leading to big plays allowed. They seem to, at least in the immediate, clean that up with some additions via health and Derek Harmon, and then just a commitment to kind of getting back to what they do. Cole Holcomb now playing rundowns for Peyton Wilson. I mean, we're getting into the minutia of the too deep, but this is what is really what's required when you have a roster that they do defensively to try and figure out and search for answers. So it's a credit to Mike Tomlin, Terrell Austin, who calls that defense, in figuring that out. And look, it's a prideful group that's littered with all pros and a couple future Hall of Famers. So I think there's always been a belief that they would figure it out. But health is going to be, to me, the determining factor as to whether or not this is really the moment for them or it's a trend that they're going to be able to continue throughout the year.
Steelers Nation, listen up, because what I'm about to say could be one of those moves that sneaks under the radar now but changes everything by December. The Pittsburgh Steelers just brought in a name that once had scouts shaking their heads in disbelief at the NFL Combine, a name that carried first-round expectations, freak athletic numbers, and the kind of positional flexibility that Mike Tomlin dreams about when he builds his defense. The Steelers worked out former first-round pick Isaiah Simmons, and I'm telling you right now, this could be one of the smartest and most underrated decisions of the 2025 season. Let's set the stage. Isaiah Simmons isn't just another linebacker looking for a second chance. He's one of those rare athletes that you simply can't categorize. At Clemson, he was a one-man chaos engine, a 6'4" hybrid who could line up at linebacker, safety, or even in the slot and make life miserable for opposing offenses. He ran a 4.39-second 40-yard dash at 238 pounds, let that sink in, and posted a 39-inch vertical. Those aren't just good numbers, those are alien numbers. Clemson fans remember him as the guy who could cover wide receivers, blitz off the edge, and track down running backs sideline to sideline like he was playing Madden on rookie difficulty. The Arizona Cardinals took him 8th overall in the 2020 draft, hoping he'd redefine what modern linebackers look like. And while things didn't work out in Arizona the way they imagined, let's be honest, that franchise has been a revolving door of chaos. Head coaches changing yearly, no clear defensive identity, and no structure that ever allowed Simmons to specialize and thrive. Even in that chaos, he flashed. In 3 seasons with the Cardinals, he put up 258 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 4 interceptions, all while being shuffled between positions. Then came his stint with the New York Giants, where he appeared in 34 games between 2023 and 2024. The raw numbers, 74 tackles and an interception, don't tell the full story. What stood out was his effort, his athletic range, and his willingness to play anywhere. When New York needed help in coverage, they lined him up in the slot. When they needed run support, he moved into the box. Simmons did it all. Then, earlier this year, the Green Bay Packers took a flyer on him, but after an ultra-competitive camp, he didn't make the final 53-man roster. That brings us to now, to Pittsburgh, to the Steel City, where players like him come not to fade out, but to be reborn. And if there's one organization that knows how to take a talented player who's lost his footing and turn him into a monster again, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Think about it. This is the franchise that turned cast-offs and overlooked players into legends. James Harrison, a former undrafted free agent. Arthur Moats, even someone like Quan Alexander, who found new life under Tomlin's system before injury struck. Pittsburgh isn't just a football team. It's a culture. It's a place where talent meets discipline, and that's exactly what Isaiah Simmons needs right now. Let's talk fit, because this is where it gets exciting. The Steelers' defense has already reestablished itself as one of the nastiest in the league. Top 5 in takeaways, top 10 in sacks, and suffocating teams in the red zone. But one thing this unit loves more than anything is versatility. Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin have built a system based on disguise, moving pieces, showing blitz, dropping linebackers into coverage, switching fronts mid-drive. Simmons fits that blueprint perfectly. Imagine this: TJ Watt screaming off one edge, Alex Highsmith on the other, and Simmons lined up as a roaming piece, sometimes off the ball, sometimes dropping back like a hybrid safety, sometimes creeping up on the line. He gives you matchup freedom. You can throw him at athletic tight ends, spy mobile quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, or blitz him through the A-gap on passing downs. And don't forget, the guy has logged over 560 special team snaps. That's the kind of hidden value the Steelers love when they evaluate depth pieces. Now, with Juwan Bentley and John Radigan leaving the practice squad, Pittsburgh had to fill that gap, not just for depth, but for upside. They already signed Jacoby Winmond, a tough, young player with a lot of motor. But Simmons brings something completely different: pedigree. He's only 27 years old. He's not some washed-up veteran trying to hang on. He's an elite athlete who's been misused and misunderstood, and that makes him dangerous in the right hands. And who better than Mike Tomlin to bring that out? When you look at the current defensive structure, the Steelers have their leaders: Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward, Cole Holcomb, and Elandon Roberts. But what Simmons can offer is flexibility in coverage and fresh legs to rotate into complex sub-packages. The Steelers' defense thrives on adaptability, and in a league where tight ends like Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and David Njoku keep breaking schemes, having a hybrid like Simmons can be the difference between a pass breakup and a touchdown. And let's be real, the timing couldn't be better. The Steelers are heading into Week 6 against the Cleveland Browns, another AFC North slugfest. And if there's one thing you need in that matchup, it's speed and awareness on defense. The Browns like to run heavy with Nick Chubb's replacement committee and sprinkle in short passes over the middle. Having someone like Simmons who can drop into coverage or chase down screen passes is exactly what you want. It's also worth noting that the Steelers are one of the few teams with the coaching infrastructure to unlock his potential. Defensive assistant Brian Flores helped overhaul the hybrid linebacker philosophy before heading to Minnesota, and the current staff has continued that mindset, developing players who can play multiple roles within the same drive. Simmons' experience at Clemson prepared him for complex assignments. Under Tomlin's discipline and structure, that raw versatility can finally find direction. Now, let's look at this from the bigger picture. The Steelers aren't just thinking about Week 6. They're thinking about January. They're thinking about building a playoff roster with layers of defensive depth. Injuries happen, long seasons take a toll, and having someone like Simmons on standby could end up being a playoff-saving move. This isn't just a low-risk tryout. It's the kind of move championship teams make when they're thinking 2 steps ahead. And I'll tell you what, Steelers Nation knows these moves when they see them. We've seen it before. The mid-season additions that no one paid attention to at first, then by December, they're making the big play in a must-win game. Remember Joe Hayden? Remember how that felt? That's what this could be all over again. A fresh start for a gifted player who just needs the right jersey on his back, the black and gold. Isaiah Simmons coming to Pittsburgh doesn't just sound right, it feels right. It feels like one of those Tomlin reclamation projects where talent meets culture and the results speak for themselves. If the workout goes well and the Steelers decide to bring him in, don't be surprised when he's the one making key plays late in the season. Because when you walk into that locker room, when you feel the standard that Tomlin preaches every single day, the standard is the standard, something changes in you. And Simmons might just be the next name to prove it. So, Steelers Nation, what do you think? Should the black and gold pull the trigger and bring Isaiah Simmons into the fold? Is he the next comeback story waiting to happen in Pittsburgh? Drop your thoughts in the comments, tell me if you'd make that move, and if you believe this defense is about to reach another level, hit that like button and subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire right now. Because this team isn't just building for another winning season, they're building something special. The kind of team that plays with pride, grit, and heart. The kind of team that reminds everyone why the Pittsburgh Steelers are the gold standard of the NFL. And Isaiah Simmons might just be the next piece of that legacy.